Hey guys, welcome to the Learn Feng Shui podcast, where you'll learn Feng Shui from a classical point of view, taking out the myth and superstition. So if you're interested in learning Feng Shui, Chinese astrology, all things Chinese metaphysics, as well as the superstitions and myths that connect it all, you'll enjoy learning Feng Shui with me. Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of the Learn Feng Shui podcast, where we explore how ancient wisdom meets modern living. I'm Candace Berlanga, certified Feng Shui practitioner and red ribbon professional with the International Feng Shui Guild. In this episode, we're going to look at December's energy shifts, and I'll be reading from this month's newsletter. We'll be covering tips for staying balanced during the solar cycles, insights into flying stars, how to use that Feng Shui for the month, and a Zodiac forecast to help you navigate through the energy. So let's get into it. You know, we always start out with talking about the beginning of the month, starting with the solar cycle. This is a 15-day cycle of energy known as a micro season, and there's two within the month. It's called the Jie cycle. It kicks off the month on December 6th and lasts through the 21st. It's called Greater Snow. The seasonal energy is when the weather turns colder, heavier snow in northern regions, and of course, frost and cold weather in the south. Nature is in a deep dormancy, and the yin energy is dominating. December 21st through January 4th is the solar term of winter solstice. And this is the time where we experience the longest night of the year. The yin energy is at its peak, and the yang energy does slowly begin to grow after the solstice, which symbolizes renewal and the gradual return of light. And it does coincide closely with the pagan wheel of the year and the observance of course, the winter solstice and Yule. Staying healthy during both of these times, it's kind of a turning point for health. It does represent the restoration of yang energy in the body. And in Chinese medicine, it's still a time to conserve energy and protect your body. Continue to nourish those kidneys. That's really been a tone as we enter the colder seasons. That yin energy really is subtly supporting the gradual rise of the yang energy. It really represents the shift in the year when the yin energy is waning and the yang energy will be taking over from that point. Just resting, conserving energy, rebuilding your vitality, continue to protect your lower back and keep warm, and just those continued movements of Qigong. One thing that I do, I'm not a Qigong practitioner necessarily. I probably should be, or Tai Chi maybe even, but I do aerial yoga. And so I do yoga with a hammock that hangs from the ceiling instead of doing the vigorous style that I usually do. In the wintertime, I will switch to a light stretching class. So I just switch my classes, and that's perfect for me. You could do regular yoga, light stretching, touching your toes, just some kind of things to get your blood flowing. Taking a nice little walk outside might be nice right now. I know I live in the South where that's possible, but even in the colder regions where there's snowfall, there is days that it's sunny and you're able to get out. And I feel like the cold is a little bit invigorating, especially when you're taking deep breaths out in the cold and you get a little bit of a vigorous walk in. Although you don't want to strain too much, just some nice light stretching. And the foods you need to be eating would be the cornbread, pastas, rice puddings, blueberries, cranberries, and pecans. You're going to want to continue to eat warming soups and stews, and ones that are higher in iron. You can make bone broths. Those are very nourishing, and it's a good time to be eating black-eyed peas, walnuts, kale, and even sweet potatoes, which are still there, and warming spices that we've talked about before, which are like cinnamon, nutmeg, anything that's kind of fiery, spicy, has that fire energy, is going to keep you warm during this time. And a little bit of wine or liquor can help do that too, help warm your belly. And just kind of keeping in trend with nature. We recognize that animals are hibernating right now. Animals are slowing down. It's reflected in our trees around us. The leaves are gone. So we're going to want to kind of mimic that. And even though, say, the trees look dead or bare, or the grass looks dead and bare, really is a time of year where everything's just dormant. Things are growing, but they're growing underneath. We really need to embody that and mimic nature in that way. Continue going to bed early. Again, fully support that. And this is the month of the fire rat, and the energy that represents it does highlight the importance of mindful nourishment. So focus on what you feed your body, your heart, and your mind, and prioritize healthy food, positive thoughts, and uplifting motivation. And according to Farmer's Almanac, December brings you something called the Halcyon days. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. This period is about a 2 week of calm weather that often follows blustery winds at autumn's end, and the ancient Greeks and Romans experienced this weather at or about the time of the winter solstice, when the halcyon or kingfisher, having charmed the wind and waves so that the waters were especially calm at this time, was thought to brood in a nest floating on the sea. And it also warns to beware of something called the pogo nip. So it says the word pogo nip refers to a frozen fog that was coined by North American indigenous peoples to describe the frozen fog of fine ice needles that occur in the mountains or valleys in the western United States and Canada. According to this tradition, breathing the fog is injurious to lungs. Looking at weather trends, possible extreme weather conditions, maybe like flooding in one area, fire in another, just very extreme type of weather. So I'm hoping I'm wrong, but that's kind of the trend that I see with the energy of the fire rat. Let's take a look now at the zodiac forecast for the month and how this can potentially impact your zodiac sign. And reading from the newsletter at learnfengshui.com. Remember, I do have a monthly newsletter, and where all the information for this episode comes out. Certain zodiac signs are impacted when they interact with the energy for the month and the year. This energy can impact you depending on where it falls in your natal chart, and you actually have 4 zodiac signs in your natal chart. You just kind of take note of where that zodiac falls in which category, and that is the area that can impact you in your life. It has the potential to impact you. So if it falls in your year, it represents your friends group, your social circle, and your community around you. If it falls in the month, it can represent your career and parental relationships. If it affects your day or it falls in your day, it can impact your health or your romantic relationships. And if it falls in the hour, it can represent your children's, your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings. And if you have a downline or your boss, it represents your subordinates. And the zodiac signs that are most impacted are going to be one, the rat. We're going into the rat month. So we're going to look at the Shinshaw stars to kind of see where to focus our attention. You do have some good ones and a couple you need to be careful of. So the Taiji nobleman, you do have the ability to problem solve this month. The Star of Golden Lock can help you with financial gain. Remember, you do have to take action. Even if you want to buy a lottery ticket, you still have to go stand in line. So there's always action taken, right? You don't win the lottery without buying a ticket. With that being said, also, this may indicate you have more work hours, you get a little Christmas bonus, something like that. The general star, it can indicate that you're being seen as an expert in your field or possible promotion and recognition. So remember, again, that's the thing of taking action, but the energy just supports you. If you have been up for a promotion or some sort of recognition at work, you've been putting the work in behind it, this is the month it could pay off. Sky Warrior, it really is just about miscommunication, so be cautious of that. And the Bath Star is a possible romantic encounter or being romantic this month. The other 2 zodiac signs that can be most impacted are going to be the pig and the ox. This is the seasonal combination. So these animal signs do make up the season of winter, which is a water energy. The water energy really helps with making connections and networking with others in your field and collaboration. It really helps you with applying your knowledge and getting hands on and practical experience, and even problem solving, brainstorming, and deep thinking are all represented by the water energy. It's a very, very strong combination and can bring potential wealth opportunities too. If you have the monkey, you already have the dragon and rat. So you have a combination also. It's called the 3 harmony combination, and the energy will help you get things moving. It's also a water energy. So if you felt stuck, you may see movement or things going a little faster this month. It can help you showcase experience in your field, again, just applying those learned skills to gain some hands-on experience, brushing up on your communication skills, and collaborating, marketing, and even the brainstorming and thinking are all traits of the water element. The combo of six or secret friend for the rat is the ox. And so the rat and the ox combine and can give you the ability to kind of feel grounded, create a sense of stability, help you focus and get some work done, do some strategic planning and setting goals. Maybe you want to plan your first quarter of the year, start some projects before the holidays, and strengthen relationships and spend time with loved ones. So that's perfect for the December month. Take a little time off for Christmas there. And the clashing energy or the opposing energy for the month is the horse. And so that's a fire and water energy that clashes. So really just remember that you can clash that away with a combination. And the combinations to the horse are, I would recommend using the southwest sector of your home to get some support from the goat and lessen the clashing energy. So you can take away those clashes. And remember, clashes aren't always bad. You can use them to make a change. Sometimes that just indicates change is happening. Sometimes it could be things like moving or just a change in your circumstances. So not always bad. I think we tend to think of that opposing energy and think, oh, we don't want any trouble. But, sometimes the clashes can be very useful and actually create good things happening around us. So just remember that. Let's go ahead and look at the feng shui and flying stars for the month of December. All right, guys, flying stars, looking at the feng shui and the best sectors for the month. Flying stars 1, 4, 6, 8, and 9, usually considered positive, but can present a challenge when they meet with negative yearly sectors like the 6 star. It's going to fall to the west and it can't really be activated. We're just going to leave that area quiet. Let's start with that. Flying star number 6 in the west. The 6 star is a positive energy, but again, we get this mix of the monthly 6 with the yearly 5, making it unusable, kind of unstable there. It's not completely bad either. So really just this month, keep that sector quiet, sort of neutral, not going to cause too many problems. The metal of the energy that is there already can kind of help control the 5 star. But if you're a Gua 7, do be careful of disputes with superiors, investments, and maybe even your finances. So do be cautious of that. I know it's supposed to be the best sectors, but the best stars, I guess. But that sometimes, again, they can be a little bit neutral or they can switch depending on what they combine with. Flying star number 1, the authority star, does go to the southwest sector. And so that star can bring opportunity, steady progress, and helping your plans fall into place. Again, if you feel like you need to get things moving and going, if there's some stagnancy with work, if you feel like you need something to move, then just use that area. You can work in the sector, study, put a fan or a short-term water activation that can go there. Add a little touch of some earth elements, pottery, maybe some crystals to aid and enhance that area. If you're a Gua 2, look for opportunity and things, again, just that movement, that 1-9 combo can enhance your chances for recognition, also social connection, and maybe even help with clarity. So that's a good thing there. And again, just use that area if you'd like to enhance those things in your life. Going next to flying star number 4. So this does go to the center. And remember, the center area, depending on your views of feng shui or your teaching, can't really be activated. But it does kind of set the tone for the month rather. So we get flying star number 4 in the center, and it can indicate issues with communication or relationships. Just be aware of these themes in your life and be open to having difficult conversations. And it could also help boost your learning or education. So that's just kind of a collective energy we share for the month. Flying star number 8 does go to the south to the Gua 9. So flying star number 8, wealth star, does bring opportunity for making money. Maybe more at work hours may present themselves. Activate to increase chances for income, and then take that action. Like I was telling you earlier, you still gotta maybe put in for more work hours, maybe take on extra projects, but do be sure you're being compensated, especially Gua 9. So you don't want to just be busy and not get paid for it, Try to find a little bit of a work-life balance because it could mean being busier this month. And you can enhance by working the sector, placing a fan activation. You could do candles there or even hang some Christmas lights, add some extra lighting there, help activate the area, especially if they're like blinking, flashing, that helps activate the area. Flying star number 9 in the north. It can help bring happiness, inspiration, as well as an increased chance of prosperity. So the combination can help create opportunity for future gains. It does have the opportunity for networking and leadership, and it also has the potential to increase happiness and joy, especially if you are Gua 1. So you can enhance it by working in the sector, fan, short-term water activation, or again, placing some lights. Looking at some of the challenging sectors for the month, remember flying stars 2 and 5 are generally considered negative, and flying stars 3 and 7 can kind of be neutral. However, this month we have a little bit of a mix of some uh, negative flying stars combining with areas that are generally usable for the year. So we'll just keep those quiet. Starting with flying star number 3 in the southeast. This can bring some issues with communication, but can be effective in leadership roles where you may have to argue or debate your point. So flaw number 4, be diplomatic in your relationships. Remember to remain calm in arguments. If romantic relationship issues occur, try to communicate. Don't shut it down, and try to practice a little self-awareness. That's how you can mitigate that energy. Flying star number 5 does go to the northwest, which is generally a good sector for the year. But, not too much of a concern either. I think the metal of the sector will control it. Continue to be cautious of using the sector, though, because it could cause things like headaches, migraines, upper respiratory issues. Gua 6, same thing. Caution of headaches and respiratory. They can kind of pop up on you this month. And also be cautious of work relationships. You can mitigate that just by placing a salt cure or spending less time there. You can also place your preferred cured item for the 5-star, which is generally a little 6 coins tied on a string. Usually yellow string works best. A little bit of color, feng shui theory there. All right, flying star number 7, legal and dispute star, does go to the northeast. So it's a case where the monthly star might show a little bit of a gentler side. Probably won't be too bad, but bickering kind of occurs with the star 7, spending too much time in the sector. Be cautious of arguments with superiors in your workplace also. And Gua 8, just continue to be cautious of feeling the need to argue, especially in work-related settings. You can mitigate this energy by just keeping the sector quiet and spending less time there. You don't have to place anything there if you don't feel the need to. Flying star number 2, this is always the heavy hitter here. The illness star does go to Gua 3 in the east. So the 2-star falling in the east, just always an indication of illness, but feet, leg problems, liver issues when it goes there. Gua 3, just take caution of these things. And you also watch your kidneys, bladder, and urinary system. And you can mitigate it by placing a salt cure there. If your bedroom's here, if your front door's here, you might want to place a little something though. Keep the sector quiet and place your preferred cure or item there. Looking at the no renovation sectors, these are sectors that you want to avoid digging and major renovations in for the year or even the month. And this does only apply to ground floor of your home or ground level apartments because the energy does affect the earth level. So if you have a second story or if you live above this energy, you consider more of the flying stars. But we're not going to want to activate this area by digging and moving furniture around, doing heavy things, renovations. It can be done with date and time selection. So message me if you need to do one of these areas. But of course, Southeast, we're just not going to mess with that. It does have the yearly Shaws. The North does have the monthly Grand Duke. The East, the 5 yellow flying stars. That's another area we cannot renovate for the month. The South has the yearly Shaw where the horse is. Remember, that is the opposing energy. So that is called the Soipo or the month breaker. We're going to avoid that. If you need any help finding a date to renovate, you can safely do this with most of the sectors and the energies. You just have to kind of be careful of when you start. Just looking ahead on the newsletter, I have things like lucky dates also on the website. So go check that out. I have things like spiritual side of things. Social and relationship on December 10th or 22nd, maybe even the 16th, you can host a holiday get together. On your health, you can look at a day to visit your doctor or even business and finance. So go check those out on the website again, which I read from the newsletter each month. Go to learnfengshui.com to get all the information. And really, you can follow along. I start this newsletter so you can follow along with the feng shui. You can find it in your home. And of course, if you need help with the mapping of finding these sectors, I can do that for you. And I don't charge for that. It is something I offer free to my listeners. You can follow along and you can place your cures or activate the best areas. The links are all in the show notes and whatnot. In honor of the upcoming winter solstice, I thought I'd bring to you the Origins of DangZi Festival or the Winter Solstice Festival. So coming to you from Wikipedia, and I'll link the links in the show notes there. It says the DongZi or Winter Festival is a traditional Chinese festival celebrated during the DongZi solar cycle term or winter solstice, which falls between December 21st and 23rd, respectively, depending on the year. So the origins of the festival can be traced back to the yin and yang philosophy of balance and harmony in the cosmos. After the celebration, it is believed that the days have longer hours and therefore create an increase of positive energy flowing in, which is true. We see that reflected in the amount of daylight we get after the winter solstice. The amount of daylight does start to increase again. The philosophical significance of this is symbolized in the I Ching hexagram of returning. In Chinese, the word dong means winter, while zi means arrival, giving the literal meaning of the coming of winter or winter's arrival. And dongzi celebrates the winter solstice, usually around the 21st through the 23rd, and is observed on the longest night of the year. And again, it does correspond closely with Yule. This does symbolize the victory over darkness. Dongzi represents that the days will start to grow longer and bring a sense of balance and harmony to people's lives. Based on the Chinese beliefs of yin and yang, the yang represents positive energy, warmth, and light. And following the DongZi festival, daytime will increase or lengthen as the yang energy also increases. And it's believed by some that this is the day that the kitchen god went to heaven to report to the Jade Emperor on the conduct of the family. I touched on that in a previous episode. The kitchen god is regarded as the god of the hearth. The festival was first celebrated by Chinese people in the Zhou dynasty and declared an official celebration during the Han dynasty. The Han people would take a break from work to celebrate with their families, and they would hold heaven worshiping as well as honoring their ancestors by burning joss papers at their ancestral shrines to show their gratitude. In ancient time, the day was also known as the Festival of Extreme Length, as the sun's extreme position lengthens the shadows. It was traditionally very important on the holiday, and it was comparable to Chinese New Year. The Chinese people do still celebrate in certain practices during the DongZi festival, such as a union of family. And in Hong Kong, many businesses let employees off to spend time with their family on this day, while in some other areas, shops close for the holiday. The DongZi festival has historically been associated with various agricultural activities in China, particularly in rural areas. As the festival represents the winter solstice, it's a crucial time to harvest winter crops such as wheat, barley, and radishes. It's also an important time to pay respects to certain livestock and feed these animals special meals to celebrate the occasion. I am all for treating your animals well. Traditionally, the DongZi Festival is a time for families to eat together. So, one activity that occurs during these get togethers is the eating of glutinous rice or sticky rice balls, which symbolize reunion. And it's usually made of glutinous rice and flour and sometimes colored pink or green. Each family member receives at least one of these rice balls in addition to several small ones. They can also be cooked in a sweet or savory soup or broth, and it is served in a bowl. It's also often served with a mildly alcoholic or unfiltered rice wine containing whole grains of glutinous rice and usually flour. People typically eat winter solstice dumplings, which again, they do love a good homonym, which is a word that sounds like another word. So this in this case, it sounds like a reunion. This custom is said to have been started by the celebrated physician Zhang Zhangjing during the Han Dynasty. One cold winter's day, he noticed poor people were affected and I'm not sure, they had some kind of growth on their ear, it says. He was moved to pity and he ordered his apprentices to make dumplings with lamb and other ingredients and distribute them among the poor to keep them warm and prevent their ears from being affected. Since the dumplings were shaped like ears, they named the soup, and from that time, it's been a tradition to eat dumplings on the day of DongZi. Dumplings are not only eaten by family, but also shared with friends and relatives as a blessing. The dumplings may be molded into shapes like dogs and cats, and common superstitions include that married people should have two uneaten to have their wishes come true, and a single person should leave one for an auspicious year. According to one tradition, the dumplings should be eaten by an even number of people for good luck. And many people take some of the sticky rice that has been used for offerings and stick them to the back of their door, windows, and tables, and other pieces of furniture. This empowered sticky rice serve as a protective talisman to keep evil spirits away from children. Old traditions also require people with the same surname or from the same clan to gather at ancestral temples to worship on this day. There's also a grand reunion dinner following the ceremony. Other traditional foods include a hot pot or wontons and dumplings. The festive food is a reminder that celebrators are now a year older and should behave better in the coming year. And even today, many Chinese around the world, especially the elderly, still insist that one is a year older right after the DongZi celebration, instead of waiting for the Chinese New Year. We talked about rice wine and eating dumplings, but other ways people celebrate is worshiping heaven. It says here that Chinese people have worshipped heaven on DongZi Day since the Han Dynasty, and many temples were built for this reason, including the famous Temple of Heaven in Beijing. And it is believed that heaven worship will bring a great harvest and good health for the coming year. We talked a little bit about ancestor worship. People set up incense burners in front of their ancestor tablets, and some place food on a table in front of them, such as dumplings, the steamed rice, and the cooked pork, as a symbolic offering to their ancestors. Making roasted meats is popular. It says here people in southern China usually preserve roasted meats at DongZi Festival, and DongZi baked pork has become an indispensable delicacy on the dinner table in certain provinces during the Chinese New Year. And counting the 9 names of winter. In many areas of northern China, people do what is called counting the nines of winter during the coldest part of winter. So the nines of winter is a folk song, and in Chinese traditional culture, 9 is extremely good luck, and it does represent eternity and completion. Chinese people do believe that spring will come after a 9-day period starting from the winter solstice. So the nines of winter song goes like this. During the first and second days, it's too cold to put your hands in the air. During the third and fourth days, you can walk on ice. During the fifth and sixth days, willows on the bank will start to sprout. During the seventh day, ice will dissolve. During the 8th days, geese will fly back north. And during the 9th days, farmers' oxen will start to work the fields. Different provinces within China will have different kind of customs and traditional greetings during DongZi. Go as follows. Happy DongZi, wishing you good health, and happy winter solstice, and keep warm in the winter. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Just kind of looking over that energy of the month of falling stars, those Zodiac Forecasts. Hopefully you find the information useful. And again, you can go to the website and look at the newsletter, follow along, learnfengshui.com. LearnFengShui.com. This month, we're going to be exploring decorating with the 5 elements. That'll be next week, looking at the winter solstice traditions. And then, as promised, that spooky geography, looking at mysteries of places like Death Valley and the Nazca Line. So I'll look forward to presenting that. And I'll catch you guys next week. For a free energy mapping of your floor plan, please check the link in the show notes. To support today's podcast, go to learnfengshui.com, sign up for emails, leave a review, and share with your family and friends.